like to start off the panel discussion by asking Shaurya a question. I didn't chicken out in asking the Secretary, but he ran out of time, those who asked him. But he talked about naming and shaming of states. David, a few moments ago, talked about corruption, and one of the biggest bottlenecks that many people have faced is dealing with bureaucrats. Do you think India should start naming and shaming bureaucrats?
Let me answer that question a bit differently. I think the bureaucrat is a symptom of the malaise. It's not the cause of the malaise. So you can name and shame bureaucrats, and you can punish a few and set that as an example, but that is not an institutional reform. What I think, and I think there is a reasonable amount of political consensus coming around in India, is that we need to completely rechange the way we have our bureaucracy as a whole. The kind of administrative reforms that we need to bring about have to be radically different to create a bureaucracy that meets our 21st century aspirations. Now, I think politically we have achieved a lot of that, because today much of the narrative, and whether it is this government or another government that comes, I think for the next 40-50 years, as Amitabh rightly pointed out, much of India's narrative will be about economic development. Nobody will be able to replace. Somebody will come up as a political alternative to Mr. Modi if he has a different political thesis of how he will achieve the development, and people buy into it.
We've just had about 4 days back, 17 secretaries were appointed. They are being given a chance. If they don't perform, they are out. It's the first time, I think, in this last 1 year, you've seen a foreign secretary, a home secretary, there are 2 more who've been asked to go overnight. Finance secretary, Mayaram, they were all asked to go overnight. So it's a gutsy, decisive government which wants performance. So it's really putting its money where its mouth is. It wants to see a performance level from the bureaucracy.
As a tax advisor, just a few weeks ago, we've heard everything what Gopika is saying, and I sense that as well. Yeah. But there was this ridiculous form that the finance ministry came up with, which was 25, 26 pages long, where somebody would have to fill in how many times they've travelled abroad in the last 1.5 years, and all of that. They admitted they got it wrong, but what does that say about what's happening at the political level and what's happening down below? Is there a disconnect you're seeing?
I think you have to take a step back. It's a question of the philosophy of what's driving that initiative. It's to do with the tax avoidance versus actually paying taxes or not. So that's the fundamental difference here. If you go at a state level, there are various forms you fill in. I myself, I've worked in the industry myself, where I used to fill in 15 or 16 forms as an accountant. But frankly speaking, that's actually streamlined now. A lot of states, especially where the BJP government is in, things are moving faster. So I think to answer your question, I don't know the exact details of what exactly happened in that particular incident. But I think at a state level, things are getting much more streamlined.
It's become a 3-page form. Okay. It's been reduced to 3 pages.
So I think the message here is that the tax reforms are taking place, and I think the state governments have been asked to really perform in every sphere of the administrative part of the system.
Well, we do look forward to a Prime Minister Modi visit. Prime Minister Cameron has invited him. We haven't yet finalised dates, but we do hope to welcome Prime Minister Modi to the UK at some point before the end of the calendar year. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. In terms of deliverables, Prime Minister Modi will, of course, have his own agenda. We'll want to be, with Prime Minister Modi announcing some good business deals, we'll want to be updating, I would imagine, on the work on ease of doing business. I think one of the themes, though, that we'll really be keen to highlight is a theme of around collaboration. And it was an interesting question you posed earlier around, will Make in India benefit the UK economy overall? Is it protectionist? Is it actually extracting value out of the UK? And from where we sit as the British government, Make in India is a very good thing. The UK and India can make great things together. They already do. There's lots of examples already of really productive collaboration between the two nations. We want to promote that more, and one of the things that we can do as British government is provide a platform for British companies who are already collaborating successfully with India or who want to collaborate successfully with India.
Well, I just feel that the UK can do so much more, and I just worry we're not doing enough. Can you respond to that?
There's a difference, I suppose, between the perception and the reality. I think the fact that many people overlook in India, the UK, and perhaps globally, is that the UK is the largest G20 investor in India currently. It invests more than America and Japan put together on the figures that I've seen. I mean, that's part of what's wrapped up in your question there is, if that's the case, are we doing enough to shout about it? Which is, I suppose, precisely where the British government can come in, because one of the key roles that we can play is in raising the British profile with the decision makers in India. As you would expect, that is something that we consistently try to do.
And I think one of the things which I've seen, having worked in the tea industry myself, I remember the UK shareholders used to come there and literally know the names of the people individually. They used to know the families who used to work in those plantations. That was the difference when nowadays industrialists go there, they meet with the central government people, and that's it, 1 or 2 meetings, then expect the local people to sort of deliver the business plan. That's not how it's going to work. You have to engage with the local people, local trade bodies, go down to the municipal councils, make yourself presence there. I think it is possible, but I think we need to raise our profile at a local level rather at a government level. That's the point I will make.
There may have been a communication gap. There may have been a lack of communication because the UK has been internally very busy, internally thinking about how to set things right, I guess. But maybe England's got to come out of its shell in terms of India and reach out. There's been too much of Europe around here, and you've got to come out and look at Asia. If India is looking east, maybe you've got to look much more east than just Europe. Just go beyond that.